Did it show that I started recording?
No.
Hold on, let me try something real quick.
Yes, I think it did.
It does. I can see it.
Oh, perfect.
Started by Lori
Yeah.
Farley.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody. We are glad that you are joining us today to discuss the EPP Foundational Literacy Skills Standards Review Plan for 2024. I'm Jennifer Nelson. I'm the Senior Director of Educator Preparation, and I am super excited to have some of my fellow colleagues on this call. First, we have Lori Farley, who is our EPP Literacy Manager, and she manages all things related to this particular topic we're going to be discussing today. We have Bianca Jefferson, who is the Director of Educator Preparation, who helps Lori in this space. We also have Ron Blaylock, who is the EPP Manager of the EPP. He's the Manager of EPPs, and he deals with all things SAP. And we also have Erin Glenn, who is part of the Grow Your Own initiative. And we have Alicia Hill, who is our manager of EPP engagement. So we are all here to support Lori and Bianca in this work. So we'll go ahead and get started. If we could, next slide.
Oh, yep.
Thank you. This is our Best for All strategic plan. We always like to highlight that our work fits in that of the educated category, but the more initiatives that we participate in, we move into the academics and the student readiness categories. As a matter of fact, as of about 2 weeks ago, we officially moved into the academic space. So we are happy to work with the academic team and all things related to K-12 and higher education. Next slide. All right, so now I will hand it over to Lori, who's going to talk about the agenda and take it from here. Thanks. Lori, you're on.
Thank you for that introduction, Jennifer. I'm really excited to get this rolled out to everyone today. It's been in the works for a while, and we just had a quick introduction, but I know I may still be a new face to you, so I'll do an introduction of myself a little more deeply, and then also have an opportunity to learn more about you, my partners in EPPs. We'll go into the 3 whats of the Tennessee Literacy Success Act, do a deep dive into that review plan, and then we'll move into the conclusion. I have given an hour for today, and I do plan to stay true to that time frame, so I'm going to have to really watch myself and move quickly. So many of you have had the opportunity to meet me in meetings, but if not, again, I'm Lori Farley. I am fairly new to the state, but I am not new at all to Tennessee education. Prior to coming to the department, I spent 20 years in elementary education and had the great privilege to serve Tennessee teachers and students as a teacher, instructional coach, instructional leader, assistant principal, adjunct professor, and advocate. I am incredibly passionate about assuring that students not only have a great academic career, but that they have a great life. So I feel honored to work in this space with all of you all to ensure that Tennessee students do in fact have the best education possible, and that is that still showing up the right way? Okay, gotcha. The screen changed on my end. And that they are receiving the education that they need to receive. So we've already met our team, and I wanted to hear a little bit more about you guys. It has been really cold out, but the days are starting to get warmer. So if you wouldn't mind in the chat, if you would share someplace warm you would like to visit, this will also give me some, I already see some answers on here, give me some good vacation ideas. In lots of Florida, Cancun, Jamaica, Australia, Hawaii, the Philippines. Now it can get really hot there. Disney, Puerto Rico. Yeah, let's do it. I'm with you, Judy. Let's go to Italy. Lots of good ones there. Definitely lots of great. I just lost my chat. My screen is bouncing all over the place, guys. I'm so sorry about that. I think when people try to come in, it's kicking certain things out. All right. Well, I see lots of great places. I was looking to see. Oh, Rachel, you're going to Tanzania and you're heading there today? Good for you. That is amazing. That's absolutely awesome. Fantastic. I was thinking about where I would like to go. I've always wanted to go to Tahiti. They say that they boast 3,000 days of sunshine. So that's a place I would like to go. All right. Thank you for humoring me with that and giving me some great ideas. All right. So we're going to get started with the 3 whats of the Tennessee Literacy Success Act. What, as I like to call it. So what it is and some of the why behind the work. So the Tennessee Literacy Success Act is lots of things, but with EPPs, there is a narrow focus. So this requires that EPPs provide instruction focused on foundational literacy standards for K-3, general and special education, and instructional leader candidates that include these 6 components that have been and will continue to be important to the work that you are doing at the EPP level. I love this slide here because it really elevates the why behind the work with Tennessee Literacy Success Act because, oh, someone said slide is not moving. Let me try this real quick. I apologize about that. All right, thumbs up if we can see it. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. This is where we left off. We should see beyond the law. Is that where we're at? All right, good job. I apologize, guys. You know how it is. These technical difficulties, they come in the way. Okay, so back to this. What I love about this slide is that it really speaks to the Tennessee Literacy Success Act beyond the law. And I really want to elevate the importance of the work surrounding the guidelines with the Tennessee Literacy Success Act. And so beyond the law, the work that you're doing with TLSA supports lots of research. One in particular is the National Reading Panel's analysis, making it clear that the best approach to early reading instruction is one that incorporates explicit and systematic instruction in phonemic awareness and phonics instructions, as well as methods to improve fluency. And what I find most compelling about this is that funding on this topic has been stopped because the evidence is so conclusive. When looking at students, I think when we can look at the science of reading as a strong, the science of reading and strong foundational literacy skills as a key component of economic and social mobility for all young people, that really speaks to the urgency of this work and the importance of the work that you are doing at the EPP level, because not learning to read does come with lifelong consequences. And also, we want early career teachers to be successful. And by being successful, they are more likely to remain in the classroom. Something that aids in that success is closing that implementation gap between what's happening in EPPs. Oh, are we still not moving?
No, we're
Bianca, what'd you say?
I'm seeing the Beyond the Law slide. I'm on the right side. So you may, at the bottom of your screen, click Sync with Presenter.
Did have that one, but I don't see that one anymore. Okay, someone says it's moving for them. You guys are a great group. You're being really patient with me. You just keep letting me know. You stop me, you send me those messages if it's not working. So as I was saying, that most importantly, strong teachers lead to a stronger influence on achievement and a teacher belief in themselves and a belief that they can have a positive impact on students is one of the greatest indicators of achievement. So again, I want to applaud all of you for the tireless work that you are doing to prepare future educators to be prepared with the knowledge and skills on day one. That work does not go unnoticed. So because of the Tennessee Literacy Success Act and all the other factors beyond the law, EPPs participated in phase 1 of the Tennessee Literacy Success Act. If you weren't in your role when TLSA requirements began, this slide shows what has been implemented to meet TLSA. Due to the Act's requirements, assigned assurance process. Oh. I'm reading my message. I do not see that, Bianca. Are we still not on the right slide?
No, we are. That was to the person who couldn't. You don't look at the messages anymore.
Okay.
You just keep going.
I'm going to click those messages out, and then Bianca, you just tell me what I need to see. Those messages were distracting me all the way. So there were parts of the signed assurance process. The first part was completing matrices demonstrating alignment between courses and clinical experiences with the standards. EPPs composed a narrative of plans for integrating EPP foundational literacy skills with standards within applicable programs. And because of both of those things, then those foundational skills were integrated into coursework through modules and or EPP created content. So what is next? There is more to the Tennessee Literacy Success Act. The law establishes the next steps, which include the annual review of alignment and evidence supporting instructional alignment. In addition, this law includes the requirement of a corrective action plan for misalignment with instruction and foundational literacy standards. The results of the review will be published in annual reports and in the EPP report card. In developing a review plan to meet the law's requirement, the department's main goal was to establish a procedure that was efficient, effective, and worthwhile. Because of that goal, we have spent lots of times doing research, looking at trends across the nation, digging into the TLSA law and looking at those updated standards and tapping into one of our greatest resources, which is you. EPP Educator Voice was extremely important in the plan's creation. So between our roundtable event and the EPWG, this plan received feedback from well over half of the EPPs in the state of Tennessee. So a big thank you to all of you who were able to participate and give such thoughtful feedback and input, as this allowed us to make several iterations and refinements to meet the goal of generating a plan that is not only efficient, effective, and worthwhile, but also designed with EPP voice. So what is next? This is an at-a-glance of the EPP Foundational Literacy Skills Standards Review Plan of 2024. There are 3 sections to this plan. One of those sections is completely optional, so technically just 2 sections. And we're going to take a deeper dive into each section. Section 1 is looking at the standards alignments using the signed assurance matrices turned in spring of 2022. So you will be receiving the matrices from 2022 back from me, allowing you to verify what was listed in those matrices is still occurring to meet the alignment. There's also an opportunity to indicate changes in green font. This gives the chance to review and to reflect on the work already listed and update and refine as needed. Again, those would be indicated in a green font. The other part to section 1 is that EPP literacy standards used during the signed assurance process have been updated. So in the matrices, we have added those current standards for you to show demonstrated alignment to those. So what is the why behind this work? We know that there was a quick turnaround in spring of 2022 to get the matrices out. We heard from several EPPs saying that they had made changes to their matrices, which is expected during instructional review processes. And there is a need to show alignment to the most current standards. This section 1 is truly a fair chance to get that matrix in a place where EPPs want it and where it is most reflective of the work occurring. I'm going to show you an example matrix in just a second, but first I want to jump into the most current standards. This slide here is a slide of reference to the legislative requirements. This shows the updates in the literacy standards for educator and instructional leader preparation programs made to include effective criteria for instructing students with dyslexic characteristics. This also expands the scope of listed skills to include core skills of encoding and rapid naming. So, because of this, we created a new 2021-2023 standards comparison for both early childhood, elementary, and special ed, as well as for instructional leader. I'm going to talk about this slide, but if you haven't seen these standards yet, Alicia, my teammate, is going to drop the link to both of them, to both of the standards in the chat. We're in the latest EPP newsletter and on the website as well. So if something happens and you lose the link after this meeting, that's where it can be found. So I just wanted to highlight right here, I'm going to put on my little laser pointer. On the left side of this, the 2021 are the standards, the foundational skills standards used in the signed assurance process. As we're doing this process, we're wanting to make sure we're using these standards on the right. Those are the most current EPP literacy standards. I do want to say that the matrix that you are receiving does have the most current standards listed for you. However, I do want to take this opportunity to encourage you to review all the standards in entirety on your standards guides, just to be aware of all additional standard number or vocabulary changes. Okay, we're going to look more deeply into an example matrix. Now, first, let me say, I know the words are blurry. That was by design. It's not intended for you to read it, just to be used as a visual. And so I want to walk you through what your matrices are going to look like when you get them back. So in the big blue sections that you see is where I have updated the most current standards to your matrices. I will say I did almost 40 of these with all the different programs and all the different pathways. And I hope there isn't a mistake, but if there is, I'm sure your eagle eye will find it, and please just fix that for me. But I tried really hard to lift that off your plate. So the first part of section 1 is verify that alignment. So you may say, like, let's say we're looking at this section right here. Everything is perfect there. It's going exactly as we said it's going to go. No refinements needed. You know, perfect, perfect, perfect. It just remains in black font. We did want to give you that opportunity because we did hear from some EPPs expressing that they had made revisions as they went through instructional improvement cycles. And if that's the case, add those pieces in green font. Now, keep in mind, this is just an example. Your revisions could look very different from this. Maybe you've got a course that changed, or you've got some clinical experiences that have changed. I just popped a few green pieces in here, but yours may be more green, less green, really whatever fits your EPP. Something that I do want to draw your attention to when looking at the matrices that you receive back is you'll easily see the big chunks of blue, but within the foundational skills that were already listed, there will be some changes in vocabulary. So you'll see those as well. Also, again, I'm just going to plug, make sure you look at the standards in entirety as well. And then the last piece, demonstrate alignment to the current standards. These have been added for you. You will receive your matrices back. Again, it took a great deal of time. Hopefully it's completely perfect for you and doesn't cause you any trouble, but it was really important to us that we took that lift off your plate. We know that you have lots going on and we wanted you to have these matrices exactly where they needed to be. Okay, section 2 is uploading course syllabi as an artifact of evidence in the TN Atlas. So any course listed in the matrices is going to require a companion syllabus. There's an upload for each licensure program and pathway, and there's a specific way to name each syllabus, which I'm going to show you very, very soon. So what is the why behind this work? We had an overwhelming response of EPP representatives share that they felt that the syllabus was an important piece of evidence as work is driven by the syllabus and really does tell a story of instruction and learning opportunities. We know that aligned content represents an intentional and coherent focus of course content and practice, and standards drive the work in all facets of education, even when looking at the IPG, team rubric, lesson prep, strong instructional practices. All of that is driven by standards, and that standards also do drive the work of syllabi. Section 2 requires clear and evident alignment to the current EPP literacy standards within syllabi. We do know standards can be included in several areas of a syllabus. Therefore, please include the standards on your syllabus in the place that makes the most sense for your class and for your learners. However, we do ask that the standards are aligned in a way that we can see connection to the learning. Just like in section 1, the verification and alignment to matrices, this section is an opportunity to really evaluate syllabi for full alignment to standards in coursework, standards in textbooks, and materials. This process is a great way to see strengths within syllabus, possibly even pull away redundancies or gaps, and even see places for enhancements. I'm going to show a few Tennessee examples of what this could look like. In this Tennessee example, you can see that the EPP literacy standards have been included in the student learning outcomes. The way that they have been listed within this syllabus is that they also line up nicely with key assessments, which include quizzes, clinical experiences, and more. I want to highlight how this professor included the substandard, which is what we want to see. So we can see very specifically that this professor is using 1.6, 1.8, etc. This is actually from the same syllabus of the example before. This professor included standards within the course content and course objectives as well. You do not have to do both. Again, it's your flexibility on what you want that to look like and how you want to communicate and show how the standards connect to instructions. Again, if you look on this example, those substandards are listed and what we are looking for. In this example, the professor has aligned the standards to the course objectives and even took it a step further in drilling down not only to the substandard, but the component as well. Again, that part is not required, but it is clear and it is your option if you want to drill on down to that component showing the letter. You will get a detailed guide on how to upload on TN Atlas, but I wanted to go ahead and take the opportunity to review the upload process on here too. On TN Atlas, there will be 4 sections to reflect the specialty area programs that also match up with your matrices. So right here, there'll be a section for early childhood integrated early learning, elementary, special education, and instructional leader. There will need to be included syllabi for each of those pathways within the specialty area program, specifically with undergrad, post-bac, and job embedded. If a syllabus is used more than, if a syllabus is used in more than one of those pathways, only submit one. And I'm about to show you what I'm talking about with it. This is how to name syllabi and just an example of that. So we're using this slide to show an elementary program area and how to upload syllabi that match that program. So along the side here, starting with our light blue arrow, and these are just made up courses, the name of the syllabi is indicated to the licensure pathway it meets within the specialty area program. So if this is a course that is taught all across the board, an undergrad, post-bac, job embedded, just upload it that one time, but let us know in the naming, the name of the course, and what pathways are included. Same with this example. It shows a course syllabus used for post-bac and job embedded in the elementary specialty area program section. And the last one is an example of this course only being used for undergraduate under the elementary program. Examples of how to name this, if you do forget, will be included in the TN Atlas and in the guidance guide that you will be receiving hopefully by end of day on Monday. And we do ask that you follow the naming guidance to help us to match the uploaded syllabi to the matrices. And section 3. Section 3 is a completely optional narrative. In this section, you have the opportunity to submit a brief reflection of strong instructional practices resulting from EPP literacy standards implementation in TN Atlas. Again, it's optional, so if you choose not to do this, there will be a little section for you just to click, like, didn't do this part, and that is perfectly fine. We really wanted this to be a place for EPPs to share the coursework that they're aligning and how it is resulting in areas of strength with implementation. So the why behind the work is really just that chance to highlight those best practices and trends of quality instruction that you're seeing in your EPP. Also, we know that when you have a moment to reflect on what you're doing well and why, this helps to grow and strengthen other practices. And most importantly, we really want to celebrate the good work that is happening in Tennessee and just give more time to elevate all the awesome things that are happening in EPPs across the state. So we've taken a deep dive into each of these sections. And like I mentioned earlier, you will be receiving an email. The goal is by end of day Monday that will include your matrices with the updated, the most current standards, a guidance document, and some other guiding resources on there as well. I will say that I do believe wholeheartedly that this review plan is efficient, is effective, and worthwhile to the practice of reflection and continuous improvement for instruction. So here's a graphic of our review cycle plan. So we're here today where we are announcing this review plan to you. You will take these sections, again, only 2 because the third is optional, and put those into place. Sorry, I just had a pop up on my screen. That is right in the way of my slide. Once you are finished with those steps, they will turn into us. I do want to point out here that it is not an iterative process. So it meets or does not meet expectations. However, I fully believe that everybody on this call is going to fall right into this meets expectations, and you're going to continue to be awesome until the next review plan. And we may want to come see some of your awesomeness. If by some chance it falls into the does not meet expectations, this will be the process that it will iterate through those steps. This is the timeline for the implementation. So today we have released the literacy review process requirements. Again, it is, I feel very strongly everyone will have everything that they need by end of day Monday. We just want to get everything sorted nicely for you so that you've got one nice email package of all the materials. May 23rd is when EPPs will submit the literacy review requirements back to us. So you've got till May 23rd. And then on August 21st is when you should expect to hear feedback from us. I talk a lot quicker than I expected. I'm normally so long-winded. However, before we hop into any questions, I have a couple things I wanted to say. First, Alicia is going to drop into the chat a survey for today's webinar. I think it only has 7 questions, and some you can just click, and I'm sure that you've got some things you'd love to say. It's completely anonymous, and I hope that there's some positive words on there as well. And I do want to remind you of my confidence in the completion of this review cycle. And as always, I'm here to support. We're here to support you through this awesome work that you're doing. So at this point, I know the chat's been going with some questions, and I've got Bianca and Jennifer ready for anything, but I didn't know if there were any questions before we ended today.
Well, before we go into those questions, I did want to say a bit about reporting with the state board report cards as well as with annual reports. If you have looked at your state board report card that was released last week, I believe it was, you would have seen your results from the signed assurance process reflected on those report cards. The report card, as well as the annual report that comes out next year, will reflect how or your results from this annual review process. And those will, again, continue to be updated annually on each of those reports. And I think we have a couple hands raised. So I think it's Joseph Kelly has his hand raised.
I just wanted to make you aware, for some reason, it's saying chat isn't available right now for me. It says we're currently unable to load your messages. So I clearly some people are in, but there might be some of us or some more than just me who, for some reason or another, don't have access to the chat. So you might want to send those links to us in an email.
Those links will be included in your email, and they are also in the email that we send out. The documents that were posted are also available on the website and have been in the past few EPP updates.
Hey, can I call you right back? Okay, I'll call you right back.
Kim Hawkins?
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes.
I also do not have the ability to chat, or I would have put this in the chat. My question is about that third part, that is the optional narrative part. Will that part be included as part of the review? So for example, if something maybe wasn't clear in parts 1 and 2, it can be cleared up in part 3, or is part 3 completely optional and not a part of the review? I understand about the course syllabi, that's going to be like it, right? Or can you just explain how part 3 is taken into consideration for the review?
Are you talking about the section 3, the reflection part?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's just giving you an opportunity to provide any additional information or any reflection that you want to add. You will not be penalized for anything that's in that section, if that's what you're asking.
So, okay, so is there potentially something that a person could put in section 3 that would help them completely pass a review without, that could help them meet expectations as far as the review? That's my question.
I can step in here. This is simply a section for you to say the positive things that are going on in the EPP literacy space. It's not taken into account for the review. It's just a way to say, hey, we want to shine and we want to show you what we're doing that's working. And, you know, depending on what it is, we may come back to you and say, would you mind if we shared that? Or, you know, that might be a great topic for TACTI, for example. Not that I approve those, but, you know, just some ideas. It's a way to celebrate what's going on.
Thank you very much. That clears it up.
Thanks.
Kathy, yes. Oh, go ahead. What were you saying, Bianca?
Oh, yeah, that sounds like there's another hand raised. I couldn't find who it was. Is it Kathy?
Kathy.
Yes. Hey, sorry, my chat is not working either. Is there a rubric or some type of criteria that you guys are going to use to review this that you guys could share with us?
Yes, that rubric will be included in your guidance document that you receive in your email.
Okay, thank you.
If I could, one other thing I want to mention, it's not uncommon for us to see a particular syllabus that lists the standards at the very top. Again, we want to make it clear that those standards, those literacy standards that are being covered in the class are not just listed up top, it's just in a box by itself. They are actually tied to the assignments or the assessments or the outcomes, something like that, so we can see exactly where the standards are being met within that course. So just wanted to mention that because we see a lot of syllabi that have it listed up top. One other piece that I'd like, as you're thinking about some potential questions, when you are doing this, you might want to have somebody else look at when it's said and done to ensure that all literacy standards and substandards are being identified within your syllabi. So if there is something missing, then you will not meet expectations. So double check, triple check to make sure every standard and substandard of the literacy components are addressed. I think I'll be quiet now.
I will encourage you in this space to also remember to fill out the feedback form that Alicia dropped into the chat. If your chat's not working, you might not be able to see it, but we can include this as well into the email that comes out. But if you are able to see it, we do encourage you to fill that out. We see Teresa's hand.
Hey, Lori, I have a quick question. So I know we've been talking about IL and elementary and SPED, but is there an auditing process for the secondary ELA literacy standard implementation?
Go ahead, Bianca.
Yeah, no, that's not required because so this is this process is solely based on the requirements in code. So when the Tennessee Literacy Success Act required those foundational literacy skills to be added, it was not required for those to be added to the secondary programs. So this is, again, only for those specific programs called out in code. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And Janet's hand is also raised.
And my, excuse me, and my question may be pretty much the same as what Teresa just asked, but so on this one, we're only going to be looking at our elementary programs and our special ed programs. We're not going to be looking at PE standards or secondary standards or anything like that. Is that right?
Yep, that is correct. You will only be looking at those foundational literacy skills standards for those for the required programs.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So there's a question in the chat that I want to clear up. It says the standards can be listed in course objectives, but what I just heard is that is not sufficient. They need to be linked to assignments, or weekly objectives. So I think what we're saying by the course, the standards need to be aligned to something specific in your syllabi that lets us know how those standards are being met. They can't just be listed at the top of of your syllabus as in a list. Like we don't have any examples of that. Okay, go to the
Like this slide. What Bianca, I think, is trying to say is like they're connected. You can see where it's connected to learning. So on here, you can see the connection to learning. On this slide, it's connected to learning. Even with the course objectives, the standards are connected directly to the learning. It's not just a list of numbers with no connection. Teresa, did you have another question, or did your hand just stay raised?
Unfortunately, my hand has just stayed raised. So please disregard. Well, no, I do have a quick question. So we have the current early childhood program, but that is being phased out and we are not continuing that. So will we still need to submit all of our information for early childhood as we're kind of phasing it out throughout this year?
So you will have to submit until you have officially sent us a letter requesting that program be that you're ending that program. So as long as you're accepting, or as long as you still have students in the program, it has to be submitted.
I just saw the latest comment about examples of syllabi would be super helpful, so we can work on getting that to you guys. And my guess would be that you guys are already doing some great work with your standards anyway and having them aligned with some learning. We did, like I said, pull these from Tennessee examples, and on this first one, again, this professor, and it's all going to look different depending on who you are and how you want to communicate, had them listed within those student learning outcomes, but then also had that connected to the key assignment. So for this professor, this met what she was trying to communicate. And again, that would have been plenty. Right there would have been enough. But the professor also added this into the assignments and course requirements as well. So you could have done one or the other, had them here or had them in the other place. So really, wherever you want to include them is fine, as long as we can see it's a connection to learning, not that it's just a standalone list of numbers or standards, but really taking that time to be intentional to connect that to the learning. Same with this example here. They're very clearly connected to those course objectives. So there is a lot of flexibility in that, and just, again, making sure there is a connection versus just a standalone standard. Jennifer, was there anything, or Bianca, to add to what I had just talked about with the syllabi?
No, I think you covered it. One other thing that you might consider is giving it, once you're done with it, giving it to somebody else to look at. Does this make sense? And did I cover all of the standards and substandards?
And it's really showing that connection too, right? So whatever courses are listed in those matrices, you'll be turning in those coordinating syllabi to that. and showing that relationship between the two. Trying to see if I had any other hands. Looks like Katie McGrath.
Hello. I have a question
Hey.
about I have a question about the matrices. Would you be willing to pop back to that slide?
I will be happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
Is there one in
My-
particular? Is this one
No,
good?
that one's good, yes. So my question is, I just want to make sure that I fully understand. So like column A lists the standards, column B says the course, column C is what's going on within the context of the classes, and then column D looks like what's going on in their clinical experiences and then their key assessments. And I interpret that to mean like CAPE level key assessments, right? Like EdTPA, like our version of the project coach, that kind of stuff. My question, first of all, is that correct? And then my second question is there an expectation that there'll be stuff in column D for every single one of the standards? Like, if they're doing it in the context of the course, does it also need to be connected then to like an EdTPA level, like programmatic level key assessment, or does it, I guess I'm trying to just make sure I understand exactly what the expectation is.
I can take a stab at this. Katie, it's how your EPP identifies key assessments. And if you're CAPE and you want to use those CAPE key assessments, you're more than welcome to do that. If you're TNCR and you have different assessments, you can align those. EdTPA does not necessarily have to be aligned. That is up to the EPP.
Okay, that helps. Thank you. And then I guess, is there an expectation that there'll be something in the clinical experience aligned to every single standard?
Not necessarily. Again, it's how you determine the alignment. It's the same thing that you did in the signed assurance, except for these are the new standards that focus on dyslexia. So you've already started this. You're just going to continue to add to it with the standards that are brand new.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Some good questions. Hey, Kim, I see your hand.
Yes, I have a question about the new HQIM modules that are coming out. And my apologies, because I've just had a conversation with Jennifer with this recently. She's probably internally rolling her eyes. I don't remember the timeline of when we're getting those. And if we'll have the ability to look over those and see if we can incorporate them using this process.
Kim, great question. Those HQIM modules are only related to the EPPs participating in the grant, and then hopefully will be released at a later date. But those are only for EPPs that are participating in the grant.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, based on that question, I do want to point out that this process is looking at what you currently have in place. This is not the appropriate place to give plans. So please don't say what you're planning to do. This is what should already be occurring in your courses, in your EPPs right now.
So with that said, if we don't have access to the previously released HQIM modules that we should be using.
It was a choice for EPPs to use those modules or not. In some EPPs just said they were going to use some modules and they later changed their minds. You have to demonstrate however it is that you are currently teaching those standards. So regardless of if you're using the modules or not, how are you meeting those standards?
Thank you.
Lori, this might be a good time to let everyone know about the work that's happening for Best for All.
Oh yeah, this is a perfect time. So some of you may or may not have heard me speak to this before, but one of the things that we're in the process of doing is taking all of those instructional supports and modules that were put in place into a user-friendly place on Best for All. So they are nearly done within that website. We knew that there were some troubles with accessibility and digging into those files. And our tech department has done a beautiful job of really laying those out in a format that is very accessible. And like I said, very, very close to those being done. And I had mentioned before that Deans for Impact, they have been wonderful to work with and are aware of anything that needs to be changed and working on their end. So I'm very excited about you getting to have those in a more accessible format that doesn't require Nearpod. All right, so we're nearing the end of our time here. And I just wanted to thank you guys for being such great listeners. You had wonderful questions. I do feel like this is going to be a worthwhile process for us. And again, just a fair chance to really look at what we've got, get things aligned and how we want it to be. I will say again, if you have not got a chance to take the survey, please do such. If you cannot see it in the chat, we will email that out. I wanted to end on this slide here with our contact information. If you need any of us at all, we're always happy to help. But with that, you are getting off 5 minutes early for Eastern people to go ahead and have lunch, and Central people, if you're hungry, you go have some lunch too. And we hope that you have a great weekend. Thank you for being here.